All right, this is the Brian Hornback Experience. This is episode 121. Yeah, 120. I called it 119, but it was 120. But hey, we're on 121 right now, and I've got a guest tonight. I've been talking for the last month about what's going to happen on this coming Saturday, February the 18th, out at the Crown College of the Bible out in Powell. And that is the fact that the Knox County Republican Party is going to reorganize. We do this every 2 years. We elect a chairman. We elect a vice chairman. Got to be somebody from the opposite sex of whoever the chairman is. We elect a secretary. We elect a treasurer. We elect a vice treasurer. And we all get together and we act like we like each other. Yeah, okay, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, I've got a guest with me. I've got one of the candidates for Knox County Republican Party chair. I believe because the deadline was yesterday, this is being recorded on Sunday during the Super Bowl. But yesterday was the deadline. I believe that there's only two candidates, and that is former Knox County Republican Party Chairman Buddy Burkhardt and Keith Line. And right now I've got former Chairman Buddy Burkhardt on the line. Buddy, how are you?
I am fantastic.
Well,
living the dream.
I'll tell you what, as a former party chairman, 2005 to 2007, when I heard that you were going to get back in it, I was like, what's he thinking? But I understand, you've worked for the sheriff's department for a number of years, more than 20, right?
29.
And you've been like in the IT type part.
Yes.
Yeah, IT, the information technology part of the sheriff's department. So you're getting ready to retire sometime this year. So
Yes.
You're going to have some time to be party chairman, I would imagine. So I guess that kind of parlayed into your decision. I'm sure you had some people calling you saying, hey, buddy, why don't you do this again?
I had more than a few people call me.
Well,
They started calling me in the fall, asking me to consider it. And I stayed on the fence for some time until a few weeks ago. The phone calls came pretty heavy. The emails came pretty heavy, and I said, "Okay, I'm in. This is not going the way our Republican Party needs to go, and I'm in. I'm ready to try to do the right thing."
right. So now you actually served for 2 terms, right?
Yes,
Right.
I served 1 term as vice chair and then 2 terms as chairman, and I was term limited at that point.
Right, because you actually tried not to run for a second term, but at the convention, as I remember, there was a motion made to make you the chairman. Isn't that how that went?
Yes, someone
Right.
stood up. The way it went, someone stood up. Randy Pace got his nomination for chairman. Then someone came up on the stage and nominated me again. And they gave this really nice, cordial introduction for me, and then looked me dead in the face and said, "If elected, you will serve, correct?" "Yes, sir, I will. Thank you." At that point, Randy Pace said, I'm backing out. I send all my candidates, all my voters to Buddy, and let's elect him chairman of the Republican Party.
Right. Yeah, I believe that one was at Central High School, if I remember right. And, I was the SEC members. Yes, for those of you that have been under a rock, I'm on the Republican State Executive Committee. We met with the Contest of Credentials Committee yesterday, and I told them, I've gone to every convention since about 1982. I don't know that makes me any more informative. Maybe I need to find another hobby in life. I don't know. But anyway, so I've seen a lot of conventions. I think the first one I ever went to was at the City County Building in the main assembly room. I think Billy Stokes was elected that year, and I've been to a lot of them since then. But during your 2 terms, as I talk about what we did in the 2 terms that you served as chair, that you can remember, because it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute. We had a outstanding record of electing Republicans, good Republicans, to office. We had all Republicans on county commission.
Mm.
We held, I know one thing I did do that I haven't heard about is the executive committee met every quarter, and we made them open meetings. Never held a closed meeting the entire time I was chairman. I went to every club meeting that was humanly possible to ensure that everybody had the same information. Everybody had the same story. That was a point for people to ask me questions and talk to me about the job and what I was doing. That's one of the things they're talking about, in this campaign, and is all they're talking about. We need to have more communications, and we always need more communications. We always need to get more stuff out to people, but at the same time, I feel like I did a real good job communicating through the clubs and their friends and family, and obviously my phone blew up with all of the people. I always answered my phone.
Right. Well, yeah, and there was, I know when I was chair and when you were chair, we had about 13 clubs. We still got about 13 clubs. The young Republicans and the college Republicans kind of come and go based on what's going on at UT and what's going on with the young Republicans, because young Republicans kind of age out at some point. But we've got quite a few clubs, and I know that you were always, in the time I've been president of Center City, which has been about 5 or 6 years, you were always at Center City, and I know that some of our members still ask, well, what's up with Buddy Burkhardt? So they still remember you. I think they try to forget about me being chairman. But so what do you see if you're the chairman on Saturday? I don't think it's any secret that, we've always had factions, right? We've always had some division within the party. But what do you see moving forward that we can do in the next year or two to try to bring everybody under the big tent and everybody together? You may not have even thought that far out yet.
Well, I've been working on it, and one of the things that I intend to do, we used to publish a book every 2 years with all of the precinct members and the precinct chairman and things like that in it. I want to try to get a hold of as many of those people as I can that are still around, and try to get them involved in some ways with clubs and or email, phone calls, so that we've given up our grassroots, our ground team. Those precinct people, they were the ground team for everything we did back then.
Absolutely.
Those people, you call up a precinct chairman, and we had some that were mediocre, but we had, for the most part, you call them up and say, I need you to get a hold of all your people. We want to do this, we want to do that, and boom, they were on it, and they were working toward it. I'll give a shout out to Lee Johnson, who was my precinct chairman. He communicated with us several times a year, just to let us know what was going on. Maybe somebody wasn't interested in clubs or interested in Lincoln Day or what have you. But I want to get hold of this. I want to start there. I want to start with.
Well, we use that book as a fundraiser because the office holders all bought an ad. BrianHornback.com had an ad in there for a number of years, so it was a fundraiser in the fact that individuals bought ads in the book, but then we also sold the book. And yes. I think the last time we sold the book, we were selling it for almost $10 a book. So it was actually a bit of a fundraiser. I'll give Chairman Herrera some credit. He's been able to establish some folks who are giving monthly reoccurring donations to the party. We need to continue that, obviously, but we obviously need to find ways to raise money. And I think trying to tap back into that grassroots is important. When I was chairman, not to go too far back in history, but in 2006, Senator Bob Corker was elected the only freshman senator. Now, I know a lot of folks don't like Senator Corker because they think he's a moderate or a liberal, but he was the only freshman U.S. senator elected in 2006. And it was through those precinct chairmen that we were able to put together a big lunch at the Expo Center, which I'm not even sure it was called the Expo Center in 2006. But we had a great turnout for a lunch that Bob Corker came and talked to during the campaign. When I was chairman, we could always rely on calling a few precinct chairmen, and we could always rely on getting a good turnout.
Yes, and you know, and some of those people, you know, they, you know, I'm sad to say that a lot of those people were older.
Right.
But I'm hoping that to get a hold of spouses or children or other people that were going, well, Mom and Dad used to do this, but we don't know how.
Right.
Let's show them how. Let them come and enjoy what has been in the past a good fellowship, a good group of people. Yes, we argued with each other periodically, but we argued in a civil manner.
Well, and the fact of the matter is that we got to realize that, you know, there's a lot of different national personalities throughout the Republican Party today. And, you know, at some point we need to be able to get the Trump people, the DeSantis people, the Boebert people, the Marjorie Taylor Greene people, the Marsha Blackburns, the Bill Haggertys. We need to get all those people together, all working for the end cause. Because at the end of a primary, we have to elect a Republican.
Yes.
And so, you know, I think that's important. But you know, that's the kind of stuff I've been talking about for years. So.
Well, I can add to that with the fact that Senator Corker, I remember one particular, he came to town to hold just a little meet and greet kind of thing. And matter of fact, we held it at Panera there on Kingston Pike. A few phone calls and we packed the room.
Right.
Then we had, when Marsha Blackburn would come through, she would come through for various and sundry things. Just a few phone calls to these precinct people, to other people. Hey, Marsha Blackburn's here in town. Let's go meet her, have a dinner, you know, and let's have some, you know, voice your concerns with her, because most of these Republican senators and congressmen and all, they get a lot of information. People call them and talk to them a lot, but when you can get them in a room and they sit and listen to you, it means something. And I've been privileged to see them in a room and actually, you know, talk to people about, okay, this is what the problem is and this is where we need to go with it. And I will tell you one thing, this probably has nothing to do with anything in the world, but one of the things that was the most beneficial, you know, I told you I answer my phone.
Right.
When it rings, I answer. And this was a woman in Tennessee, in Knoxville, Tennessee, whose husband had passed away in New York. She could not get the VA to move his body back to Tennessee for a burial. This had gone on for like 6 months. And she called me in tears, going, can you do anything? And I said, ma'am, give me just a minute. And I called Jimmy Duncan's office, and then I talked to Jimmy. And that man's body got moved.
Wow.
Now, that wasn't because I'm some great, wonderful individual, but I knew who to call.
Right.
For that situation, and I was able to help that woman solve what in her world was a major crisis.
Well, and that's because Jimmy Duncan was a constituent oriented guy, and so, you know, had she been able to call, then yeah, it would have probably eventually gotten done, but because you knew who to call to get to Congressman Duncan, it got done a little bit faster. So that, I mean, that's a great story. You know, and, you know, I mean, all of us that have been involved in politics since, for me, almost 40 years, well, a little more than 40 years. I mean, we all know that kind of stuff. You know, the interesting thing is, so we're going to elect a chairman in 23, which means we have a presidential election in 24. Since about 2016, the presidential primaries are actually making their way to Tennessee. So it's probably imperative that we have somebody who's chairman that's ready for that. Are you ready for the onslaught of 15 or 20 Republican candidates running for president in 24?
I am definitely ready. You and I, we didn't always support the same presidential candidate, but
Right.
we always talked about it.
Sure.
And we've always been civil about it with each other. But yeah, I'm ready.
Right.
It requires what people don't think about. What I feel like to be a good chairman. Number one, you have to go to all the meetings. You have to go to all the meet and greets within reason. I mean,
Right.
you don't need to go when you're sick or when something major has happened.
Right.
But they've had. But I'm definitely ready. I'm ready to roll with it. We did here again. This was another one of those things. We had during my term as chairman, we had a Trump rally. Turned out that it wasn't Trump on the bus, but we had a Trump rally, and I think we had about 72 hours notice that the bus was going to stop in the parking lot of the Expo Center. By the time that bus pulled in, they wanted a rally. They wanted something newsworthy. I had arranged for a band to be there and play. I'd made all the phone calls for the crowd. We had a stage set up. We had all the electricity. We had everything ready for this rally to take place. And, you've got to have the connections and the people that you can call and say, hey, I need your help with this.
Right.
And,
I remember that rally. That rally was the first rally that Dylan Cobble ever brought his daughter, who's now, I think, in first grade. His first rally he'd ever brought his daughter to. She was an infant, and there's a picture on Facebook of me and Dylan and his little daughter at that rally beside the Trump bus. So that was a good event that was pulled together, like you said, in less than 60 hours. So so that was a great event.
We just got the phone call, and that was because we had a lot of people here. We had several people here, really active in the Trump campaign, and they managed to get we originally thought that Trump was going to be on the bus, and then we found out just before that he wasn't, but that was fine. We had
Right.
doggone near every congressman and senator from this area on that bus, and
Right.
every one of them in that parking lot talking to people and doing what they were doing.
Yep.
And I would like to share one more story with you,
Sure.
though, Brian, before we get too deep. It's kind of off subject a little bit, but you had mentioned how many years you had been into politics, and I've been in it several for many years. I was anonymous. Someone needed their signs put up. They were looking for somebody. Well, somebody says, well, I know a guy. I never met the candidate. I was just given the signs and told where to put them.
Wow.
And I did that for several years until our friend Sandra Clark ran into me at Bojangles with a trailer full of signs and asked me what I was doing. And then from that point on, I think if you look it up, it's in whatever that paper was she wrote for. She called me the sign guy.
Sharper News. I remember. Now that you tell that story, I do remember you being called the sign guy.
Yeah, because I got busted, and from that point on, everybody was like, "Oh, he's the guy."
He's the guy. He's the guy. He's the guy that's slamming fence posts into dry ground on a regular basis.
Oh yeah, I did. I've done, and I will continue to support candidates up to and including putting signs out for people.
Well, and that's the great thing about being chairman is that in Republican contests you get to be like that infamous scene in Forrest Gump where they've broken away from the chain gang and they run through the field and they're about to jump on the train and they're all three chained together and And one says, well, I'm voting for yours truly. Another one says, well, I'm voting for yours truly. Another guy in the middle goes, well, I'm with you guys. So as chairman, you got to be the guy in the middle just as I'm with you guys. So
and you've got to talk to everybody. You
right.
can't, just because someone has said something bad about me doesn't mean that I can't go talk to them and we still can't work together.
Yeah, you can't ever take anything personal in this business.
No, you got to have a thick skin. You got to be willing to accept what people say, and you've got to work hard.
Right.
I was blessed back then to have Suzanne as my vice chairman, and she was a workhorse.
Yep.
And she was great fun to be chairman with. This time she's not in the race,
right.
So I hope to have. I hope that if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, I hope that I'm blessed with a team that is not going to sit there and go, well, we need to do this, this, and this, but they won't get up and go do it themselves.
Right.
I have a rule that I'll never ask Brian Hornback to do something that I haven't done or wouldn't do myself.
Absolutely. Well, man, I didn't mean to keep you this long, but I appreciate you being on here. Good luck to you. Again, folks, the convention is this coming Saturday, February 18th at the Crown College of the Bible. Check brianhornback.com. The link to register is on there. You don't have to register in advance, but if you do register in advance, it will make things go a heck of a lot smoother on Saturday morning. The convention starts at 10 a.m., and the only position that we know the candidates of in advance is chairman, because on February the 11th was the deadline for those to indicate they wanted to be and were willing to be chairman candidates. So Buddy is one of those, and we'll see how many of the other candidates we can get on before Saturday the 18th. But Buddy, I appreciate you being on, and good luck to you, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate you talking to me.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
See you. Bye.